Hey guys, this is Ned doing another video for you guys. It's a bit of a repeat. This is another spam deck, but instead of doing this at Argus's level, I'm doing it at mine. I'm about halfway through the Royal Arena. I got 2,500 trophies today. As you can see, I started out with 2324, and I went on quite the climb today. I earned over 200, mostly using the spam deck. That very first one was against a clanmate, and then I had that draw. And then a majority of the spam deck at my level were actually wins, and pretty good ones. A lot of these I'm not going to show you because that would be a really, really long video. So I'm just going to kind of scroll through these and let you guys take a look. For whatever reason here, no particular reason, I decided just to switch to the Golem deck that I like to use. That's a really good deck. I did another video on that, and it served me pretty well, as you can see. Massive winning streak, a few losses here and there. But it is what it is. I just scrolled up just to say something about that Golem deck, but that's not what we're here for today. We are doing a slightly higher level spam deck. Now, this first video that I'm going to show you, or replay, is actually, this first one here is with a clanmate, so we're not going to do that one. This one here is actually someone about my level, and he's actually fewer trophies than me. But he ends up winning, as you can see by the score. And if you look at the troops that he uses, you can see that he's got a lot of AoE damage. A lot of things to stop and defeat what I have available. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to fast forward this till pretty much the end, because I think you guys can see the general idea of what's going on when it's fast. I get my troops out as soon as I can. I also use that Valkyrie as that very first thing to use. The Valkyrie is just a good general meat tank, or meat tank. Pretty good tank. Takes up a lot of damage, is able to take out a lot of the opposing troops. And, I saw that he had that freeze spell, so I really should have been more defensive in my use of that poison spell, but I used it offensively quite a bit, which, as you'll see, ends up me losing the game. So we'll put this back to first speed. He puts that wizard out, and unfortunately, it ends up going into the poison for him. All right, so I guess this was in the overtime that I ended up losing this. So far, it's a relatively even game. I actually have more damage on the tower than he does, which is always what you want with a spam deck. Shows that you're pushing a little bit harder. But here in a bit, he ends up taking that tower, and I get it really low. And I actually think that this is it. I'm getting all my troops out just like I want. He's able to protect that wizard, which is fantastic for him. It's 100% ideal. He gets those barbarians down. That's a highly underrated card. And this is indeed where I lose. And you can actually see he freezes everything. That wizard has been doing work, defending his tower and killing all of mine for quite a while. And it's just putting out work. I know I put this in slow motion, but that wizard, there's just nothing I can do. Finishes it off with that fireball, and that is the end of that. So that right there is an excellent method on how you can defend against the spam deck. Using turrets is always a wonderful method because they get distracted. Using high AoE damage like the wizard, Ice Mage if you have it, Poison Spell, Arrow Spell, Fireball. They're all excellent methods of dealing with that spam deck. So let's go to the next video that I have after this Tom Dynamite, who defeated me soundly. And let's go ahead and look at Jacob from Deadly Few. As you can see, he's got a legendary, he's got a level 3 P.E.K.K.A., he's got a level 4 Dark Prince, and he's got that bomb tower, as you can see in the video, will do quite a bit of damage to me, plus that fireball. So he has a lot of threats to defend and attack against the spam deck. But I end up beating him, so let's see how I do it. It'll be an interesting video, I hope, or an interesting replay. And I get to start with at least one hut, but I really like to start with the Barbarian hut instead of the Goblin hut, which is why I opted to put that out first. And then I finally get that Goblin hut out. Notice as I use that poison spell to kill both the turrets are really, really deadly against these spam decks. And so whenever they place it, I always try and use the poison to deal damage not only to the turret, but also to the tower itself. He finally gets the elixir out to place his P.E.K.K.A. for his final push. And this time, unlike the last video or last replay, I was able to use my poison in a defensive manner, and it won the battle for me because I was able to kill all of his troops and then push on my own. So that was Jacob. I know that was a pretty quick replay, but it was just a general win. You don't really need to see too much of that one. And then let's look at Salmon Dragon. Salmon Dragon, again, he's got the turrets, which are really vicious. He's got that AoE damage and that Archer Queen, not to mention air troops, which are kind of hard to deal with. And the arrow barrage, which again is very hard to deal with if you are doing a spam deck. So we'll speed this up a little bit. Now, one thing to note when you start facing people who use this Archer Queen is it does a lot of damage. But see how quickly he died? Now, again, I do have it on 4 times speed. This time I'll just do 2 times speed. But that Archer Queen, while she's really, really vicious, has really low health. Any typical arrow spell will be able to deal with it. So you hit her with that, or a poison spell, or any of your other spells, and she's done for. And she's not much she can do. All you need to do is get to her with some small amount of damage, and she's gone. And again, he's doing great on getting rid of my huts. That is a marvelous method in getting rid of a spam deck. If you target the huts, then you are destroying their attack. You can use a poison spell, you can use the giant bomb, you can use a poison spell, the fireball, you can use any AoE method that will take care of it. You can use the goblin hut, and the good thing about that too is if you do it correctly, you can hit the tower. So you're doing damage to the tower while you're taking care of the attack method of a spam deck. So the turrets at this point are pretty low, but I'm doing a really good job of getting my spam, all my little guys out. And he's got me so low, but finally I'm able to make that final push, tank up some damage with my Valkyrie, get everybody out there, and win the game. And that was a really, really close one. Glad I won. But again, you can see how close these matches can be, but it's those last-minute victories that really pull it out for you. So that was Salmon Dragon. Let's watch this Kwai Zero. Again, this is a really good tactic. You could probably learn something. I know I did. I'm going to have to try this one later. It's very similar to my giant and balloon method, but he uses the balloon and the freeze as an attack method. Works out really well. He's got that bomber tower, which does that mass AoE damage in defense. He's got a mini baby dragon, which really hurts these spam decks because of its AoE damage and tankiness. And a lot of spam decks don't have much attack to air. So let's go ahead and watch this. And again, it's going to be pretty similar to the rest. I start out with that Barbarian Hut, which is what I really like to do. And you'll see how much damage that Baby Dragon does. It just does so much, almost gets to the tower, freezes everything then once it drops that balloon, and that balloon gets me to half health. And another one of those, and I'm dead. I don't have many threats against that balloon, no way to really defend. And he's got a perfect defense with just that bomber tower. See? And there's just nothing I can do. I keep spawning these things, but all I can do is barely touch that bomber tower. Again, he gets that baby dragon out, and he just gets me so low. I'm at 10-15% health, and it's going to be very easy for him to end up winning this match. And I have to do everything I can just to prevent him from 3-crowning me. So, a wonderful technique by him, using air, using that baby dragon, using that free spell, worked out magnificently. I did everything I could, and he just ended up winning. He had a superior method to the spam deck. So, for those of you who struggle against spam decks, that is one option on how to defeat the spam deck. And let's watch another one here. This is fried rice in Clan Viral Boners. This will be the last one. Sir Steve actually disconnected halfway through, which allowed me to 3-crown him. And that one is another clan battle where he's, half my crown, so it doesn't even count. Plus, I was using a different deck, so it wouldn't apply anyways. So let's watch this last one with fried rice, where I was able to 3-crown him at the 2500 era, or 2500 level for crowns. And again, I'm happy I get that Barbarian Hut first. That always makes me happy. With every deck you have, there's always an ideal start. Barbarian Hut is my ideal start. Granted, the Goblin Hut would have been the next ideal for me, but it is what it is. I see that Dark Prince, and that Valkyrie is a wonderful stop to the Dark Prince. The Prince and the Dark Prince both have that charge active. The Dark Prince's is actually a mass AoE damage, so just one single troop prevents that AoE damage, while for the Prince, if you drop down like that 4-Goblin or the Goblin Horde or anything along those lines, or the Skeleton Army or the 3 Goblins, he has such a high single target damage, it kind of nullifies that and really helps. So that's something to think about. But I'm finally able to get all of my, 2 Barbarian Huts down. I still haven't placed that Goblin Hut just because I've been defending against everything. And that's perfectly fine at the beginning. And again, I defend against that Prince, and the Valkyrie does its job as well as dealing with the Hog. And the Goblin Huts, you don't really need them. All they really do is just a little bit of damage. Just using my Barbarian Huts, I've been able to get his tower on the right side down to nearly half health, along with a few additional spells and troops. But a majority of that hasn't been a whole lot. It's just been me defending, which is what I think I did an excellent job of. Now here I'm low on elixir, and he does a great job of getting there, but those barbarians really do their job. Those are a very underrated card in my opinion. They're not good against air, of course, but I think they do a fantastic job, and they really help augment a spam deck because they're pretty tanky, and they just have good general stats. So finally, we get the ×2 elixir, and now it's time to go. Both the towers are relatively the same spot, but I've got a few hundred hit points more done on his than he's on mine, which is always where you want to be. And then he gets his Hog and Goblins out, and I've got my Musketeer. We both take a tower at the same time. But luckily for me at this point, I'm starting to get all my huts down. I've got that Musketeer doing that pretty massive point damage. I finally get another Barbarian Hut going down. And notice also that I wait to place my huts. About this point is when you really want to really wait on those huts. Because if you can get all your huts down, they really do a great job of helping to provide just a swarm of troops like they're doing right now. And you really are able to overrun and do what you need to do for taking that final turret. The final turret. So I'm finally able to get everything down. We're in overtime. It's a tie. And you can see just that massive swarm of troops I have. I don't really need to do too much to defend at this point, but I do what I can anyways. I just want to make sure that he doesn't pull any shenanigans and take that 3rd crown, or 2nd and 3rd crowns. But he's attacking me, and look at that swarm. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful sighted swarm. I'm about to lose my Barbarian Hut, but that's okay. And you'll notice that I choose not to place my last Barbarian Hut just because of that timing. I have such a huge load of people that all I do is just place more of them just to get them all out there. I place that poison spell for that last bit of damage, and that's all there is to it. And I ended up taking the 3 crowns and finishing myself off where I am now, which, as you can see here in, in my profile, at 2,500 trophies, which is actually the highest I've ever been, and I use predominantly the spam deck to get there. So the spam deck, if you're low, you have the cards to do it, is an excellent choice. You can see the deck that I use right there. And again, you don't have to use all of these. Really what you're looking for is troops that can really help to tank and allow a good bit of damage to go down. Your knight can be a decent choice. Your goblins can be an okay choice. Your bomber can be an excellent choice. A witch would be okay. If you want to try and defend against air and you want to pick out your baby dragon, that's an excellent choice as well. Really, you want to use whatever cards are the best and the highest level. Not just epic or rare, but the highest level cards that you can possibly get is really ideal. This is kind of what I've picked. I have good AoE damage. Really, the worst thing I'm lacking in is air defense. But as you can see on my history that I showed you today, this deck has fared very, very well. So those of you who are low level and you're trying to figure out what you should level up in order to trophy push, this is an excellent method. Keep going at this, and it will be able to carry you at least halfway through the Royal Arena where I am. Again, I'm not the best player. I'm not by any means the best player, but I do think that this is an excellent method to use both in lower levels and the upper levels. So I hope this was able to show you a little bit of something on how to use it as well as how to defend against it. And if you have any comments or anything, like it, comment. I'd appreciate it. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. And thank you for watching and have a marvelous day.